Stirring the coffee with chopsticks using the vortex method, the only true way to optimize the taste of your coffee. At the molecular level, good morning, welcome to the Daybreak Show. I am the Sultan. We'll get started, but first, Ethiopian coffee made cowboy coffee style. Nice. Perfect. Perfect for a snowy morning. We have about 10 to 12 inches of snow out there right now. When I went to bed, there was about 6 inches or so. Went to bed at about 7:30, 8 o'clock last night. Slept till about 5:30 this morning, 5:23 to be exact. No morning walk. These streets are not shoveled. I don't feel like slipping. I don't have anything that would be grippy enough to walk on the streets. So I will probably get exercise doing some shoveling, most likely. Although there are kids on the street that reached out yesterday and said they would do the shoveling. So, I might let them do that. Throw some money at them. And then I actually have to be at the salon today at noon. So it's going to be a good day. I feel good. Just everything got a late start. Got up, came down, made the coffee, still have my robe on. I don't have to be to work. On days like today, I work at the salon. I don't work the other job. So let's get started. Let there be spaces in your togetherness. That was Khalil Gibran. Relationship fasting. Breathing space. Giving each other breathing space. What a beautiful thing. Imagine having someone where you are crowded, suffocating. Not a good way to have a relationship. And a lot of that is because they don't trust you or you don't trust them. Probably not a good way to have a relationship. Relationship fasting is that there's breathing space. Breathing space. As I am open to marriage, I like the idea that my wife-to-be will let me have my own life, but we are still one. I'm not talking about an open marriage, which is ridiculous. An open marriage is not a marriage. Someone's got to say it. It might as well be me. But I'm not crowding her. She's not crowding me. She does things that she likes to do. I do things I like to do and have to do. And then we have things that we both like to do. The division of labor will be as such. You do what you're good at. You do what you're good at. I like cooking. I like cooking. I've never had anyone cook for me in my entire life, except my mother. Literally, never had anyone cook for me. In my marriage, there was no cooking. If I didn't do it, let's get real. So I'm meeting women now that love cooking. Boy, that's going to be an adjustment. So now my request is, if I get married, it'll be, okay, you like to cook? Well, I will cook 2 nights a week or 2 days a week. And that's what we'll do. You do what you're good at. Like a girlfriend's father said to me once, I said to him, man, you and your wife seem to have a really nice marriage. I like how you get along. And he says, a long time ago, we made the decision. She changes the diapers, I change the tires. Literally. But also, that was indicative of how the marriage worked. They had an agreement of who would do what, the division of labor. If a guy is just making messes everywhere he goes, and the wife is running around cleaning up after him, that creates resentment. For instance, I like doing laundry. I like ironing. I don't like putting the clothes away, though. I don't like folding. After I take the laundry basket out of the laundry room, I don't like folding and putting stuff away. I can't stand that. Ironing, I just listen to a podcast, and I can iron all my shirts and anything that needs to be ironed, or my wife's clothing that needs to be ironed. I can do that, no problem. I just go into autopilot. To me, that's Zen. It's almost meditative or prayerful. How do you divide the labor in your house? Put your answer down below. I'd like to hear that. But going back to the original topic of breathing space, or letting there be spaces in your togetherness, relationship fasting. I came up with that probably 2 years ago. And so many people have been fascinated by the concept of relationship fasting. I got it from when I combined the theories of intermittent fasting for eating, where you eat, you're on a 16-8, an 18-6, 18 hours no food, and then a 6-hour window where you can eat. There's ways that you can be productive in your life, and then you come together and you're strong. It's the people who are possibly traveling for a living, which is very difficult, traveling for work, because fidelity has to be there, I do not recommend that anyone travels for work, if you can help it. So much cheating and infidelity is done with people at work. I forget what these stats are. I had compiled them before. Probably not a healthy thing. I don't want to do it. I'm not interested in a woman that travels for a living. Sorry. But we'll talk about that, and that is a book that I'm writing, or a booklet, or an ebook. I'm not even sure if there's enough material there for a whole book. But there will be a compilation of data and a how to do relationship fasting in that guide, ebook, whatever you want to call it. I'll probably release that sometime this year. And you may find yourself in a beautiful house with a beautiful wife, and you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here? David Byrne, Talking Heads, 1980. Dude gets out of his recliner, goes to the liquor store, gets his every other day bottle of Tito's vodka, stops at the convenience store to get his smokes. Then right before he pays, he sees that the Mega Million jackpot is $281 million, and he says to the guy behind the counter, give me one of those quick picks for $2. Goes back home, mixes a drink, puts on Netflix, passes out in front of the TV, and that night he's a millionaire before midnight and doesn't even realize it. How many times has that probably happened? Constructive discontent. When you've had enough of your current financial, relational, fitness, career, or living situation, when you're so disgusted with it that you don't even get depressed or disappointed anymore, but rise up and do something about it and create the circumstances that you need to get out of that mess. You start looking for resources and methods to build the ladder to plan your escape. You will always remember that day, the day that you turned your life around. Constructive discontent. Sometimes being discontent is a good thing. I've heard it be named, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. The one day you look in the mirror at yourself and you go, my God, look at this body. What did I do? And you start changing. When you look at your home, you look at your relationships and you say, my God, I got to get out of this. And rather than get depressed and lull yourself into another coma with another drink or another sugar-filled cake, pie, bag of chips, pint of ice cream, bag of candy, pizza, you say, that's it, I'm done. And you start making changes. You start drinking more water. You get up early, you're walking. You might try the carnivore diet. You do something different. You shock yourself to do something different. You see some results. Whoa, I lost 2 pounds. Whoa, I feel better. And that reinforces the new behavior. And you do a little bit more, and you start to change yourself. 2021 is the year that you get unstuck. 2020 pretty much sucked. For most, it didn't for me, but for most it did. Now, you've got less than a month to get your crap together, Because 2021 is the year that you get unstuck and you realize there's no government in the world that's going to suck your year into the dark hole of despair anymore. Have you had enough? I think you have. You can't legislate not doing evil. We have more psychotherapists and counselors than any time in history. Think about this. That's really working, isn't it? Yeah, because every university and college has a psychology program. Every graduate school has a psychology program. Medical schools, psychiatry programs. Oh yeah. So we're pumping out psychologists and counselors and therapists by the hundreds every year. But has life gotten any better? I think it's gotten worse. Because these misguided psychobabble bullshit professionals are guiding people to temporary solutions. One of the reasons why I decided to get back into doing counseling and coaching. I'm not doing therapy. I don't care if a dog peed on your leg when you were 3. That doesn't matter. Or someone called you a name when you were 7. Or took your lunch money. I don't care. Let's focus on the future, not the past. Let's solve problems, move forward, get out of the rut. Beware of ruts. Some can be 20 years long. Vegans tell me every time I eat meat, it takes 9 minutes off your life. By that calculation, I should have died at 1732. I love that line. It always makes me laugh when I see that. Regarding broken marriages, the first 48 to 72 hours are the golden hours. Anyone who is an EMT or a paramedic knows, or on a rescue team, knows the concept of the golden hour. A building collapses, there's people in that rubble, there's a golden hour when you can still save them. Same thing with a marriage. When a marriage goes down, you're like, man down, marriage down. When she says, I don't love you anymore, or he doesn't want to come home, you got about 2 to 3 days, 48 to 72 hours to save that marriage. Pastors, listen to me, pastors. When one of those partners reaches out to you, the clock is ticking. Those are the golden hours that something can be done to stop the bleeding in that marriage. If you schedule something for next week, the marriage is gone. It's gone. There's already infidelity, which is how most marriages end these days. The golden hours. So here's advice for all counselors, therapists, coaches, and pastors. Write these 2 things down on a card to guide you. Keep them in front of you. Put them on a bulletin board. Put them on your desk somewhere when you're working with clients. When in doubt, gather data. Most of you who are counselors, pastors, therapists, coaches, you're giving advice too quick. You're making decisions based upon partial data. Collect a lot of data. Let them talk. Ask a lot of questions. Okay? So when in doubt, gather data. Number 2, gather data and then give hope. People come to you for hope. They don't come to you for anything but hope that life can be better. Whether it be the relationship, the job, their life, their health, they come to you for hope. Gather data. The gathering of data is for one purpose, giving hope. It might not be the restoration of a marriage or a relationship. It might be just keeping the person alive for a month or 2 or a week or that day. Remember the golden hours, 48 to 72 hours. But in general, when in doubt, gather data. Number 2, gather data, give hope. People are coming to you for hope. I haven't seen TJ in over 40 years. One of my best friends from birth, our moms were hairdressers and worked in a salon in the late 50s, early 60s. Summer camps. TJ and I went to summer camp together. The Boys Club, YMCA, martial arts in his basement, lifting in mine. We had train sets, slot cars, Hot Wheels. And I believe December around this time is TJ's birthday. I haven't seen him in over 40 years. I think the last time I saw him was probably 1980. Okay? I just found him literally just found him on Facebook. And we communicated this morning. And I can't wait to talk to him. He's out shoveling snow. I forget how much snow he got overnight in upstate New York. Probably more than we got here in the Philly area. But we're going to chat later today or later this week. I'm excited about it. Reconnecting. God, we did so much together as kids, as teenagers. I just can't wait to reconnect. So that's pretty cool. Good to see you, my brother. I thought this was interesting. How the seeds of the revolution were planted. We met in taverns, we met in restaurants, we met in churches. Now do you understand why there's closures? I know this because the City Tavern in the city of Philadelphia literally was where the Constitution was hammered out. Literally 20 minutes from me. And they fought. They rolled up their sleeves and they fought over principles of how they're going to resist British domination. Keep people isolated and you can rule them. Never forget that. Divide and then conquer. Sometimes the name of a former therapy client pops into my head. I don't know why. Just a weird thing pops into my head. And then I Google them or I search for them on Facebook. And it makes my day when I see that incorrigible kid who is now CEO of a corporation, or that impossible, hopeless addict is happily married with kids and has a good job as a police captain. I did that yesterday, searching for some people that I wonder whatever happened to so-and-so. And it pleasantly surprises and pleases me when I see that things turned out okay. We are experiencing the greatest threat to this country since the American Revolution, right now. And it's only an information war. But a real war is brewing. A year ago, this would have been called a conspiracy, but this unfolded under our noses, right in front of us. The revolution is here. Be prepared. What role will you play in the Great Revolution? The Daybreak Ranch and Abbey is going to have several pustinia on it, which is a small cabin. Many, many small cabins, like little sheds with a bed, a table, a light, a chair. And that's it. That is it. Places for prayer, contemplation, devotion. Silence, solitude, and service, the 3 S's. Can you imagine having property that has 10 to 20 little outbuildings, little structures with a door and a window where people can come and pray and look for God's will for their life, and then come together once or twice a day for a meal, and then go back, and then come back and to maybe a group session and talk about what God might have revealed to them, and then work one-on-one with me or another person to see how that can be implemented in their life, and then come back once a year for a refresher. The pustinia, a Russian word for desert, when people would go out into the desert to seek God's will. Every great leader I know has spent time alone, fasting, praying. The pustinia, I'm very excited about that. There's a book called Pustinia, Encountering God in Silence, Solitude, and Prayer by Catherine Doherty. Encountering God in Silence, Solitude, and Prayer. I'm really looking forward to reading that book because it's so consistent with what I've been teaching for so long. And with that, and I'll put a link for it down below. With that, finish your coffee and I'll see you tomorrow on the Daybreak Show, your home of sanity, clarity, and reason.